Good day everyone. So today, our group we're going to report about the self and person in contemporary anthropology and the self embedded in culture. I am going to discuss first about the self and person in contemporary anthropology. For that, we need to define the meanings from the words itself, the self and the person in contemporary anthropology, which is the self, person, and anthropology. So what is self? So self is a person essential being that distinguishes them from others, especially considered as the object of introspection or reflexive action. Self refers to us as a person of what we are and who we are, especially our physical appearance that anyone or anybody can be seen and described. So person refers as a human being. It is a group of people that can act something in any particular places. Their differences. Person is an individual, usually a human being, while self is an individual person as the object of his own reflective consciousness. So what is anthropology? Anthropology is a field of social sciences that focuses on the study of man, the totality of what it means to be a human. So anthropology means that it wasn't just refers about the mind of human or even the environment of a human, but it refers to the totality of what we are or who we are as a human. Anthropology is a study of people in the past and in the present. So for example, the way the people live in the past and in the present. So the people in the past live without using technologies or any technologies na ginagamit sa pang-araw-araw, but in the present time there's a lot of technology exist para ating ginagamit sa ating pamumuhay para mas madali ang mga ginagawa natin, katulad ng mga teknolohiya o anumang bagay na nag-exist sa ating modern world or modern time. So in that case, there's an anthropology happen dahil sila yung nag-oobserba, or they are the one who make studies for the changes of the present and the past. Anthropology focuses on understanding human condition in its cultural aspects, concerned with understanding how human evolve and how differ from one another. So, anthropology focuses the changes of man from time to time or from something to something. Definition of self in modern anthropology. What is modern self? So, a modern self is unit but unitary. So, when we say unit, our self is unit because we have our own characteristic that separate from others. But we are also unitary because there's a lot of people or individuals that make ourselves as a whole, or what we can say that they are the one who provide knowledge about everything we need or about something. Self in modern anthropology. So according to Professor Catherine Ewing, described that self as encompassing physical organism possessing psychological functioning and social attributes. According to Catherine Ewing, self enclosed by appearance, development, and behavior, that possessing psychological functioning, which is an ability to achieve his or her goals. So wala naman siguro isa sa atin o sino man sa atin ang walang pangarap sa buhay o hindi nagtataglay ng pangarap sa buhay. We all have our different goals in life that we need to be achieved. So according to Catherine again, Catherine Ewing, self also acquired social attributes o katangiang panlipunan, which means ourselves have the ability, or we have our characteristics to value and appreciate our society. So for example, as a youth, we have our own role to our society to become a good individual. We have our own contribution to contribute good things for the betterment of our society. So that what social attribute means. The two aspects of self according to Joseph Ledoux. Two aspects of self according to Joseph Ledoux. So first, implicit. So implicit is a self that you are consciously aware of, or it refers to something that is suggested or implied but not ever clearly said. So for example, when your girlfriend gives you a dirty look when you react hard in Ibana's post. So without any further explanation about the girl, just look at or just give the boy a dirty look, So, alam na kaagad ng lalaki kung anong ibig sabihin o ano ang gusto ipaabot ng girlfriend niya sa kanya. Second one is explicit. So, explicit, self is not immediately available to be consciousness, or explicit is something that is clearly expressed or communicated. So, for example, someone giving very straightforward direction to a location. So, there's someone ask for the location and you give a straightforward location para naman alam niya kaagad kung saan ang tamang lugar na kanya pupuntahan. According to Lidu, the self is not static. It is added to and subtracted from genetic maturation, learning, forgetting, stress, aging, and disease. So according to him, the self is not static. It is changeable because of the following factors given: the forgetting, stress, aging, and disease. For example, in learning, so when we convey new learnings or information or ideas, we could apply it to ourselves. So for example, you are not good in cooking or you don't know how to cook, then suddenly you saw a video tutorial on how to cook in YouTube, then you performed it. So those information change you from hindi marunong magluto to alam na kung paano dahil sa video tutorial na inyong napunood o those information gathered from the YouTube. According to Ewing 1989, asserted that self is illusory. People construct a series of self-representation that are based on selected cultural concept of person and selected chains of personal memories. So according to her, self is illusory or it is imaginary because, so for example, your crush doesn't like something, then you acted like you didn't like too. But in the reality, you like it very much. So there's an illusory or imaginary happen because you make your representation for yourself on how you want others seeing you. So, ginagawa mong, change mo yung mga bagay na gusto mo para lang magustuhan ka ng isang tao. Nagdepende yung characteristic mo sa mga taong nakapalibot sa iyo. The self embedded to culture.
The self embedded in culture. What is self embedded in culture? The anthropological conceptualization of the self as embedded in culture. Addition, it considered the human experience and interplay of nature referring to genetic inheritance experiences, an interplay of nature referring to genetic inheritance, which sets the individual's potentials and culture with regard to social cultural environment. Self-embedded in culture, cultural differences exist when groups of people assign different life events and things. Therefore, the self is embedded or attached in culture. What is self-culture? In culture, the development of one's mind or capacities through one's own efforts, self-cultivation. Fuller believed that her purpose as literacy editor of the New York Herald Tribune in the early 1840s was to promote reading as a form of self-culture and self-knowledge. Self-embedded in culture is we bound ourselves in the culture. It depends in the tradition and the old beliefs according to trust that we belong. There are different behavior. It depends the culture. Just like before, I discovered that people nowadays, some of them are not embedded in culture because it's a new generation. Some people have ability. One of them is person of a strong belief. He or she doing ritual, ceremony, and on beliefs of God. Psychological anthropologist, personal identity, selfhood, subjectivity, consciousness, emotion, motivation.